Here's today's In Touch devotion.
Today's scripture reading begins in verse 1 of Genesis chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, Now behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I will obtain children through her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. After Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife, Sarai, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her maid, and gave her to her husband Abram as his wife. He went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. And Sarai said to Abram, May the wrong done me be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms. But when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. May the Lord judge between you and me. But Abram said to Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your power. Do to her what is good in your sight. So Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence.
We live in a fast-paced culture and are accustomed to quick results. Waiting appears to be an activity of past generations. It's no surprise, then, that those of us who are believers have a hard time if God doesn't answer a prayer right away. But when we refuse to be patient, our only option is to step out of His plan. Today's scripture passage tells how Abram and Sarai, later known as Abraham and Sarah, took matters into their own hands because they did not like the Lord's timing. 10 years had passed since God promised them a son, and Sarai was aging. So she and Abram decided to let her servant Hagar bear a child for them. Sarah eventually did give birth in her old age, but that lack of patience led to great strife for their family and for us today. Much of the tension in the Middle East can be traced to two people groups, the descendants of Hagar and of Sarah. Why would a godly couple choose a path of self-sufficiency? First, their intense desire for a child clouded their thinking. Sarah desperately wanted a son, which was a basis of women's worth in that culture. Next, they succumbed to wrong thinking. After years of childlessness and longing, they began to think that perhaps the Lord needed human help. Finally, they believed this faulty reasoning, and both gave in to impatience. These traps still pose a danger today. We're not immune to strong desire, human reasoning, or the influence of others. Impatient by nature, we could easily justify taking action in our own strength. The best advice is to listen, obey, and wait. God's timing is perfect, and we don't want to miss the blessing of doing things His way.